"What in the hell are you doing with those boxes, Mike?" Sarah's voice cut through the tense silence of the office. Sarah, sharp as a tack, missed nothing. "Just trying to get through the damn door," I muttered, wrestling with empty cardboard. Vinny canned me. She was on her feet in a flash, holding the door wide as I struggled, these flimsy boxes suddenly feeling like lead weights. "He can't fire you. This place would crumble without you." Sarah was right, but I didn't have the energy to argue. I just started clearing out my drawers, personal files, pens, photos, anything that was mine, leaving the company stuff behind. Sarah started helping, her movements quick, efficient. Then she paused, noticing as I snatched up the picture of Lisa, my wife, and without a second thought, tossed it straight into the trash. Sarah, my secretary for 2 years, watched with that one good eye of hers, the other glass one always a little off, always needing drops, a constant reminder of some past tragedy. Car wreck, 3 years back, husband gone, right eye lost. Now stuck in this windowless office, supporting 2 kids, Ethan, 8, Noah, 6. "Mike, what the hell happened?" "You just went home for your reading glasses." Her voice was laced with disbelief. "He can't fire you for that." I was done packing. Just 1 box needed. Vinny and Lisa were in our bed when I got home. The words hung in the air, heavy, ugly. They weren't exactly doing anything at that moment, but they were both naked. Sarah's good eye widened. "He fired you because you caught him sleeping with your wife?" "Not exactly. First, I told him to get the hell out of my house. Then he fired me. He didn't even leave." She was still there? "Lisa?" Sarah's voice was barely a whisper. "Yeah, both of them." Vinny was laughing as I walked out. Sarah's hand touched my shoulder, a comforting weight. No words, just that silent support. I managed a weak smile and walked out of Morelli & Sons for what felt like the last time. Let them try to run the place without Mike Rossi. Doubt they were sweating it. My brother Dave wasn't home yet, but Jen, his wife, was all welcome arms and coffee. Dave worked the early shift at the factory, would be back later. Jen kept the coffee coming, a warm presence in the quiet house, a shoulder when I needed it. After a quick lunch, we headed over to my place to get the rest of my stuff. Vinny was gone. Lisa was in the kitchen, nursing a drink, some amber liquid in a glass.
"What the hell were you doing coming home in the middle of the morning like that, Mike?"
Her voice was sharp, accusatory. I stared at her, couldn't believe the gall. "I was afraid Vinny might run out of condoms. Just bringing him another dozen," I snapped back, the sarcasm dripping. "Don't be a smart ass. It's not that big a deal, and it's nothing new." Her words hit me like a punch. "What the hell does that mean?" "Vinny was going to fire you 2 years ago. He agreed to keep you on if I would, you know. Be intimate with him. I did it so you could keep your job." She looked at me, a smug little smirk playing on her lips, and finished her drink. "Well, it wasn't so bad. You kept your job, and I got to spend time with Vinny." The betrayal was a cold fist in my gut. "Now that I lost my job, are you going to stop seeing him?" I asked, the question almost a plea for her to deny it, to say it wasn't true.
"Don't be silly. Why would I do that?"
Lisa replied, her voice flat. emotionless. I just stared at her, the pieces clicking into place, the last 2 years suddenly making a sickening kind of sense. I looked at Dave, his face grim, and we went to the bedroom to pack. There wasn't much I wanted in that house. Just clothes, a few personal items. Never been much of a handyman. No tools, no power equipment to lug around. The last thing I grabbed was my desktop computer. Lisa stayed at the kitchen table, her glass magically refilled, staring blankly ahead, avoiding my gaze. Couldn't tell if she was pissed at me for leaving or for catching her in bed with my boss. Didn't matter. Dave and I stopped at a bar, had a quick beer, a pathetic little toast to my new freedom. The house was a rental, thank God for small mercies. Took an hour to get the utilities disconnected, even got a few deposits back. Bank accounts, credit cards next. I left half of the savings in checking for Lisa. Jen had a real dinner waiting when we got back to their place. Later that night, Dave got me drunk, put me to bed. Worst hangover in years. Wasn't expecting severance pay from Morelli and Sons, but I had enough in savings to float for a couple of months. Unemployment was a joke. I'd have to find something else. Divorce paperwork first. That took the whole morning. After lunch, I went to the state employment office. Slim chance they'd have anything decent. "Mike, fancy meeting you here." Sarah, standing right in front of me, clipboard in hand. "You quit?" she asked, surprised. "No, I was replaced by some big boobs and bigger hair." I just shook my head, disgusted. That was a low blow, even for Vinny. Sarah had nothing to do with any of this, and it wasn't fair she got dragged into it. "What exactly happened?" "You were replaced with Vinny's brother, Joey, and I was replaced with Joey's girlfriend, gone before the end of the day." She looked genuinely sorry. "What can I do to help? Can I use you as a reference?" We both managed a weak chuckle at that. Sarah and I, one good eye and all, sat together, filling out the mustard-colored employment history forms. Neither of us had any faith in the system, but we went through the motions. Before leaving, I pressed a couple of $100 into her hand, along with my new cell number. She resisted, but finally took it with a quiet, "Thank you." Single mom, 2 young boys, no job. She was in for a rough time. The next week was a blur of job applications, dead ends. Then a scathing phone call from Lisa about the disconnected utilities. Changed my cell number. Simmons Farm Equipment was out in Jersey, maybe 30 minutes from the city. Most of the farms in the area were gone, swallowed up by McMansions. The place looked tired, run down. Peeling paint, faded signs, parking lot cracked and weedy. Even the windows were grimy. But it was my last shot. Earl Simmons, pushing 70, big guy, sat behind his desk like a Santa without the beard. I was dressed for an interview, so he knew I wasn't there to buy a tractor. "If you're not buying, you must be selling." He sized me up, shrewd eyes behind thick glasses. "Not interested," I said, my voice flat. "Can't argue with that." He paused, then a sly grin. "Just looking for a free cup of coffee?" Coffee. My flip answer got a hard laugh out of him. He gestured to a coffee maker in the corner. I poured myself a styrofoam cup, sat down across from him, raised it in a mock toast. "Thanks. Pleasant end to a shitty week." Earl Simmons gave me a sharp look. "Don't I know you?" You're that hotshot who worked for Morelli, right? Rossi? Used to work for Morelli. Not working anywhere right now. Silence hung in the air, just the hum of the fluorescent lights, the smell of stale coffee. Never liked that Morelli guy or his brother. We sat there for a moment, just sipping coffee. Sure I can't sell you a harvester? Give you a hell of a deal on last year's model. A twinkle in his eye. Maybe he was Santa after all. I glanced around the room. Empty showroom, a glimpse of a warehouse through the back door, a vast, empty storage yard. Felt wrong, like a ghost of a business. You look like you're thinking of buying the place, Earl boomed, breaking the silence. You gonna make me an offer? In my dreams. I laughed, the first real laugh in days. Simmons leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful look on his face. 7, 8 years ago, Morelli's operation was crap. Didn't start making money until he hired you, am I right? He was right, but I wasn't about to admit it. I knew what I'd done for Vinny. Apparently others did too. I just smiled, tossed my empty cup in the trash, still smiling as I stood up to leave. Don't rush off, Mr. Living. Good. We might be able to work something out. Rossi, right? Mike Rossi. 2 hours later, Earl Simmons and I had a handshake agreement. He had big plans, needed someone like me to make them work. Thrifty man, money no object when it came to the right person. I was willing and able, with one condition. I need to hire my own assistant, Sarah. Sarah who? Sarah Walker. She used to work with me at Morelli's. She's the best. Earl shrugged. Fine by me. Best assistant in the world, long as she can sell tractors. I grinned. Sarah was going to be thrilled. That night, I took Dave and Jen to a real Italian place in Little Italy. Lisa and Vinny were fading fast in my rearview mirror. Sarah was happier than I was when I called her with the news. Back at Dave and Jen's, Lisa was waiting. 20 minutes of pleading, trying to convince me to come back. Vinny wasn't exactly thrilled about supporting his wife and mistress, apparently. I listened politely, smiled, walked into the house. Not a word. The next few weeks were a whirlwind. The main building at Simmons Equipment was cinder block, solid. Second-floor apartment, dusty, forgotten, used for storage for 20 years. Earl was happy to let me live there, rent-free. Sarah and I found a used stove, fridge, washing machine. We painted the office, the apartment, hired some local kids to slap paint on the outbuildings. Earl didn't blink at the cost. It was actually fun. But eventually, we had to get down to business. Divorce papers arrived. Lisa signed them. No fight. Cut and dried, no house to argue over, no kids. I'd already given her half the bank accounts, not much after 12 years, but more than she deserved. Sarah Walker. Skinny, always a little too pale. Bad teeth. That glass eye. Dirty blonde hair that had never seen a salon. Makeup? Non-existent. Always looked clean, but definitely needed a serious overhaul. But then there was that voice, honeyed, persuasive, and a work ethic that put me to shame. Computer skills, accounting, off the charts. She was a godsend. One perk of working for a cheapskate like Vinny Morelli. No confidentiality clauses, no proprietary agreements. Vinny thought he was untouchable, the king of the hill. His arrogance was our opportunity. Sarah and I had a clean slate. Sarah sent out letters to all the wholesalers, all the retailers we used to deal with. Just a simple note, letting them know Sarah Walker and Mike Rossi were no longer with Morelli & Sons, no longer available to service their accounts. Careful not to solicit business, just laying the groundwork. Meanwhile, I was digging through Earl's old contacts, seeing who was still breathing. Most accounts were dead, buried under years of neglect. The farm equipment business was DOA as far as Earl was concerned. He wanted something new. I stumbled across a Korean manufacturer looking for distributors for their mowers. Not fancy, but sturdy, cheap. Perfect for small towns, school districts. 30 minutes on the phone. I had 50 units coming from California on consignment. We had the space to store them. 0 upfront cost. Box of brochures arrived overnight. Sarah was on it. 6 orders before the first shipment even landed. The next week, Sarah started calling everyone who'd gotten a letter. Wholesalers, retailers, all happy to hear from her. Just planting seeds, and she was damn good at it. We were aiming for the residential lawn care market, but weren't afraid to branch out. Several tiller companies had tried to get Vinny to carry their lines, but he'd always scoffed. I had 3 of them lined up by the end of the first week, 2 on consignment. The showroom was starting to fill up, not with farm equipment, but it was filling up. Earl was grinning like a kid in a candy store. Sarah surprised me by signing up 2 chainsaw manufacturers. An old friend of Earl's showed up with a truckload of chipper shredders, consignment deal. Suddenly, Earl had inventory. Monday morning, Earl introduced me to our new salesman. Retired guy, worked on commission only. If I don't sell, I don't get paid. First day he sold 3 mowers and a chipper. Things were picking up. Sarah was so swamped she asked if she could come in on Saturday. Fine by me, I'd be there anyway. No school, no daycare, so she brought Ethan and Noah. I always liked kids. They spent most of the day in the apartment watching TV, but their favorite part was going out back with Earl, hunting groundhogs. Sarah said they talked about it all the way home. A few weeks later, summer break started. Boys were at work with Sarah every day. Earl kept them busy outside. The business was on the front part of Earl's old farm. Hillside still dotted with dying apple trees. I put bunk beds in one of the spare rooms for the boys, a twin bed in the other. Didn't take much convincing to get Sarah and the boys to start staying overnight. School district was great. Elementary school nearby. Actually, I think moving in was Sarah's idea. Rewarded for offering the spare room with a small kiss. Things were definitely looking up. Somehow, Vinny found out where I was working. Joey's girlfriend had been using the company computer for porn. Downloaded a few nice viruses. Vinny called, asked if I could come by, fix the system. I think he could hear me laughing as I hung up. Lucky I didn't sue him for alienation of affection, wrongful termination. Earl had company medical coverage, even when he barely had any employees. When Sarah found out she had dental insurance, she was ecstatic. Started spending afternoons at the dentist. Subtle changes at first, but week by week, she started looking better. The real transformation came when Earl got her an appointment with an ocularist. Her glass eye had always been ill-fitting. New prosthesis, perfect fit, almost impossible to tell. Sarah Walker, one eye and all, was becoming just Sarah. For her birthday, Earl and I sprung for an all-day makeover at Elizabeth Arden in Philly. Drove her down. Boys and I spent the day at the zoo while she got pampered. Good day for everyone. Lisa called begging for help. Car repossessed, cell phone cut off, behind on rent at her furnished studio. Left her all the furniture from the house, no idea what she did with it. Vinny wouldn't take her calls, wouldn't let her near the office. I tried to be polite, understanding, but told her no. Couldn't help her. She didn't like it, but had no other options. One more week until the divorce was final. Counting down the days. We were hoping for business from the retailers, but it came from the manufacturers first. Tornado Mowers contacted us. 9 retailers in the area dealing with Morelli & Sons, all unhappy. 6 of them knew about our new operation, recommended Tornado contact us. By the end of the day, we were official distributors for Tornado Mowers in the Tri-County area. Big break. Next day, divorce was final. Things started falling into place. One by one, wholesalers, retailers, all ditching Morelli & Sons, coming to us. Sarah hired another girl for the office. A few weeks later, heard a noise out back. 2 guys in a pickup pulling something out of the bed. Molotov cocktails, flying through the air, landing in the equipment lot. Fireballs erupted. Arsonists scrambled back to their truck. Too late. 2 shotgun blasts. Front tires went flat. Floodlights blazed on. Earl standing there, laughing. 2 shadows running down the road. Cops found the truck owner easy enough. Spilled his guts about the Morelli brothers paying him to torch the place. Pretty much the end of Morelli & Sons. Whatever customers they had left switched to us within a week. Vinny did some jail time, not sure how much. Joey disappeared. Damage to the lot was minimal. Insurance covered it. Earl strutted around like a peacock, his old business booming again. He'd offer suggestions now and then, but mostly stayed out of the way. We hired a superintendent, doubled as a Spanish interpreter. Mechanic from trade school, another old-timer, perfect team. Sarah became a payroll and tax whiz. Dave and Jen came out to visit once a month, low-key, but good to see them. Earl, a widower for 10 years, no kids, was always welcome. Lisa vanished after Vinny dumped her for good. Sarah and I, we got closer. Started with TV after the boys were asleep, sometimes falling asleep on the couch, waking up tangled together. Then kisses, little pecks for small favors, then just kisses. Peck on the cheek when she left for errands. Start of December, Sarah told me Ethan needed his own room. That afternoon, she moved all her stuff into my room. Should have seen that coming. After the boys were in bed, she took my hand, led me to the bedroom. Embarrassed I'd been so clueless, thrilled she took charge. Day before Christmas, justice of the peace, quiet ceremony. Didn't tell anyone, but Earl saw the ring on Sarah's finger next day. Good holiday. Business exploded in the spring. Earl announced he was moving to Florida. Sister in Ocala nagging him for years. Worried about problems, but Earl had it all figured out. Deeded the property, the business, to Sarah and me. 10% of monthly gross until he kicked the bucket. Offer we couldn't refuse. Didn't need the money, just a gesture, so we'd remember him. We understood. Farmhouse was bigger than the apartment. Month of painting before we moved in. Never understood Earl's aversion to paint. Week we moved in, Sarah found out she was pregnant. Ethan, Noah, ecstatic. Me too. Hard to believe. Not so long ago my life was in ruins. Funny how things work out. Hope the new baby has 2 eyes.